Would you like to have a look at my brand new Japanese fountain pen? Because, well, I certainly do. It's a pen made by Sailor, and it's very long and green. Oh, I'm excited. Get it open. Open. Pen, come to me. Oh, that feels... That is one nice pen. Oh, and it makes little squeaking sounds when I'm unscrewing it. I'll put that up to the microphone. Can you hear that? So it unscrews and... What? This nib is bent. So I jumped on my computer and I started writing a message to the person who sent me this pen, and I said, you sent me a bent nib. And then I said, thank you for sending me a bent nib, because this nib is actually meant to be bent. Now, I do want to start talking about why this nib is bent, but I just can't stop marveling as to how well machined this piece of plastic is. It's really quite beautiful. Oh, and it comes with its own little ink cartridge as well. That's nice. What? Oh, it comes with 2 ink cartridges. This plastic pen really feels like it was made with a lot of care. It's got a very smooth feeling about it. Now, the nib says something like MF on it. I think that stands for medium fine, maybe? I'm not quite sure. I mean, it does come down to quite a point, doesn't it? That is an extremely bent angle on the end of that nib as well. According to the packaging, it's like 55 degrees. So you're probably wondering, why would anyone want a nib which is bent? Well, that's a good question. Let me show you. Or I could just tell you right now, it's to do with line width variability, basically. So the idea is, depending what angle you hold the pen at, is the line thickness you give. So this angle here will give an extremely thick line, and almost 90 degrees should give a very narrow line. Eventually, when the ink comes out, that is. It's not a flexible nib, so all the line width variance comes from just the angle that you hold it at. Oh, come on. Did I not put the ink cartridge in properly or something? Needs to be pushed in further. I could give the ink cartridge a slight squeeze. It is quite flexible. Usually my impatience... Oh, yeah. That was actually... Oh, wow. Oh, yes. Oh, that's amazing. Oh. That... Wow. So this is at 90 degrees. 55 degrees. That is pretty cool. Or you could also hold it upside down for some actually quite thin lines at like 55 degrees. Or this way, 55 degrees for thick lines, 90 degrees for thin lines. Can I go from a thin line to a thick line seamlessly just by changing the angle? So start with thin. Good, slowly change the angle. It's a bit hard to control. Oh yeah, so that does work actually. Will take some practice though, but it is doable. I was worried because this is basically bent at, a sharp angle, that it would be difficult to get line thicknesses in between it being thin and thick. Does that make any sense? But it's, quite doable. It's pretty good. What kind of ink comes in these fountain pen cartridges? Is it a dye-based ink? Most likely is. Yes, I think it's definitely a dye-based ink. It dissolves quite readily. Does it post well? Yes, it does. Okay, I'm going to do a drawing with this pen now, and I'm going to tell you what I really think about it during the drawing, time-lapse. So we can go beyond a initial impression. So the first thing I noticed while trying to draw this pen is that as soon as I posted it, I realised that the thing is simply far too long when posted to draw with. It's of a ridiculous length of 19 centimetres. That's crazy long. I mean, I don't want to poke my eye out when I'm trying to make a drawing now, do I? But without the pen cap on, it's about 15 centimeters long, which is a beautiful length. It's fine. Anyway, this pen is probably one of the most versatile pens I have ever used, which is refillable. It's quite remarkable. I mean, I can make a line quite easily at the 55-degree angle, which is 2 millimeters thick. And then if I hold the pen upright at 90 degrees from the paper, I can make a line which is like 0.3 millimeters thick. And then if I rotate the nib upside down, I can hold the pen at a comfortable steep angle and make a line close to 0.2 millimeters thick at times. So that's amazing. What an incredible range of line weights you can get out of a single nib. That's pretty cool. Yep, that's good. But with great line width variability comes great uncontrollability. And more than anything, this is basically my fault because I'm not used to a pen which the line width, the line weight, yes, is dictated by the angle of the pen. I'm more used to brush pens, where the line weight is dictated by pressure. So I found it really difficult to make a smooth transition from a thick line down to a thin line, so a line that tapers down. Couldn't do it. It's a real rub your belly and pat your head kind of moment, you know. I'm not that great at multitasking, but it's something I could get used to. After drawing for a bit under an hour, I did get a little bit better, but mostly because I adopted a strategy of staggering my line weights. So I would draw a thick line, and then I would take a little mental break, readjust the angle of the pen, and then draw a slightly thinner line, take another mental break, readjust the angle again, and so on and so forth. This did work reasonably well. And while I was doing this, I actually realized this pen has an advantage over a brush pen. Even though a brush pen is really easy to make a line that tapers down to a fine point, and this pen doesn't do that so easily, this pen is capable of maintaining a line of a single thickness quite easily. You know, it's pretty good. Because this is not a flexible nib at all. So as long as you maintain the same angle, you can have varying amounts of pressure on the pen and the line weight stays the same. It was pretty good actually, yeah. I did enjoy that. It's also got impressive ink flow, this nib. I mean, it has to have impressive ink flow if it's going to make a line 2 millimeters thick. And of course, because of this impressive ink flow, it does burn through a lot of ink. I drew with this pen on 2 A5 sheets of paper, one with half a page of scribbling and the other one with that drawing I'm doing now, and it went through about 1/3 of a cartridge. So I may only get about 4 drawings per cartridge on an A5 sheet of paper. So I would definitely consider getting a piston converter for this pen. Or maybe just injecting new ink into the old cartridges because that's going to get quite expensive. Not like this is a cheap pen to begin with though. It's getting a little bit on the pricey side. Well, it is in Australia anyway. Most things from Japan are quite expensive over here. Anyway, it's a good pen. After some practice, I did actually start to enjoy to draw with it. Initially, I could only really do some very inky scribbles with it. I can't really think of anything too bad to say about it, actually. I did try to do some calligraphy with it, and it didn't go too well. It looked very unimpressive, like most of my calligraphy. Changing the angle of the pen always seems to change the direction that I'm drawing with accidentally. It's kind of weird. Anyway, I will now be saying goodbye. Goodbye. See you later.